Hey, welcome to the Bluejay Banter post-game show. We're live here at the Let Fly Sports Bar in downtown Omaha after this awesome, huge win. Jays go on the road and knock off two-time defending champ Uconn 68-63. The dominance over Dan Hurley continues. Thanks for watching. Make sure and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It helps us out a ton. Use the chat feature down below to send us your chats. You got to subscribe first, then you can use the chat feature. We'd love to hear all your questions and thoughts on the game, and we will share them with everyone. Going to apologize ahead of time. I got this crap that everybody else is getting right now, so I've got this hacking cough, so I'm going to try and get through this the best I can. My buddy Austin is here. Premier point guard in Creighton history right here. Give us his thoughts. What'd you think, man? Awesome performance.
Great performance. Great attention to detail. Mac had the guys prepared. I think Sammy probably did a really great job, to be honest, with Caravan Scout this week.
Sammy was Caravan this week?
I would have to say potentially.
Probably.
You're right.
Probably. It's kind of translating like who he is on the scout team. That guy gets single digits in scoring.
Because not only is he just, scout player walk on, he's honestly, he's got a little game and talent to him as well. And I think he's just able to give a good a showing of really what that next guy can, is capable of. And, Murfield does a great job of getting tendencies down. So I'm sure, you just saw the attention to detail. We got a little sloppy with the turnovers there for a second that kind of worried us. I think we ultimately had a few more than they did, but
it wasn't bad though for playing a Uconn team that was really out pressuring us on the ball. We only had 9, and I'd say half of those came on those silly handoffs that they do in their sleep. And today they were getting their hand in there, and Ashworth lost a couple out.
Yeah, just got a little lazy, and I think refs were letting us play too early on in the game, which
definitely
was huge. It just proved, we might be the little more intelligent team rather than trying to play with toughness, which is nice.
Yeah, I mean, we did out-rebound them. It was 7-6 in the offensive glass. We actually won that battle, which it didn't seem like it through a chunk of the game today. It seemed like they were getting their fair share. But, yeah, I mean, Jamiya Neal had a day, man.
Oh, man. Great first half. Got off to a good start. High-level player, right? I think we've kind of been waiting for one of these birds, and I just think he probably felt the energy in the air, right? Going into that type of arena, two-time champs, that's probably a lot of reason he came here. It had me thinking, I don't know if they were in some of that front running of getting him, over this transfer portal aspect, but he kind of had there was a little bit different chip on his shoulder, that there was there, that it was almost like he was proving something in a way. But just got off to a hot start,
Yeah, I think when I talked to him, I think he did mention, he goes, hey, I get to come here and play the two-time defending national champion. So, yeah. But Jamiya's a guy, like, I've said this numerous times throughout the season. He gets going early with a dunk, and then, man, his shots start dropping.
Yep.
I mean, he
hits a couple tough ones, and for somebody like that too, the rim. Then
he hit some big threes. That one step back in the first half.
Oh yeah.
One at the buzzer kind of pushed the lead out.
Yep.
He just played tremendously.
He did a great job defensively too, which I don't think is gonna get overshadowed by how great he played offensively, but. I don't know the guard who he was chasing majority of the game. They had him coming off a lot of pin downs and things of that nature. I know early on in the season that was a lot of his just downfalls too, of just trying to get going offensively, of getting lost into concepts of what now Mac has him doing. And he just looked comfortable, full circle to where it's like, all right.
Hey, Val, if you can turn this up a little, I can't really hear Austin as plainly as normal. There we go. And we did all this. With not a great game from Ashworth. I mean, I'm talking scoring-wise. I mean, he had the ball in his hand the whole day and did a terrific job of running the offense.
Yeah, he controlled the game.
Didn't have a particularly great offensive game today. I mean, there was a couple times when you and I were talking, he put the ball on the floor rather than going up with it. Yep. It's not things he normally does. But, we still managed. Colk was 16 and 10.
Double-double, man. Walked away with it. And, Ash flirting with a triple-double in a way. But Doing a great job, too, of hitting the boards, right? And I think that's something that, just watching a lot of film, too, you could just see he's taking his time, too, on a lot of those reads and catching guys in the right spot, right?
We'll address the elephant in the room here right off the get-go. You kind of thought that might have been a foul on that 3 DR at the end?
If you're talking by terms, yes. At the amateur level and at the pro level, he didn't put the ball down. He was kind of making the natural movement. Yes, Ash, if you look on the underside, had him wrapped already, but generally that's hard to see from the naked eye. You don't know those like nuances, and it's just fouls that don't get called a lot of times. But that's kind of some of what we do. But maybe that's what the ref saw. But as we kind of heard, he was anticipating more or less the call off, knowing. Right. He'd already hit one in the first half and did the same thing. I think he did it 3 other times where he got fouled and kind of continued. So, it's in the ref's hands at that point.
That's I think, what happened there. The ref was anticipating us fouling. He actually blew the whistle, in my opinion, late. He could have blown it earlier where there was foul, like you said. And I think that's why he kept it on the floor. Yeah. Now, look, I know Uconn fans are going to scream and yell about this, but there's no – he's a very good free throw shooter, but there's no, for sure he was going to make all 3. I mean, there's no telling.
Definite.
Yeah.
No, not at all. But, it's just you hate when the refs try to put the game in their hands, and I think that's what he was trying to do, hoping that he was going to make a advance, rather than more or less trying to play the situation, which that turned into. And, it can go either side, because as he calls that foul, now how do we feel about that, that reaction there? So,
yeah,
I don't know. I feel that was probably the best call.
Boy, you talk about one game like flipping your whole outlook of the season.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You needed that big-time road win. Got that. Now the schedule flips. We have DePaul, Seton Hall, 2 of the worst teams in the league. Xavier. And then another home game with Xavier coming up. So we can really make some hay here, win 3 more, take care of business, obviously. DePaul got their first win, so they're not gonna let us just walk into Chicago and win.
Absolutely not.
But now we feel like there's some momentum going.
Yep. We're
going to be off the bubble. We're going to be moving up the seed list, and it's just turned all around. Around.
I think it's been turning, the past 3 weeks or so. I think Fedor really kind of opened that next door once we kind of figured out what was of Pops, Isaac's, that chemistry. I think they're starting to bond and being able to find that cohesive unit is great. Mason's finding other ways to affect the game. Trout's finally hitting a couple jumpers. Green, when he does get in, it's just tremendous.
That fadeaway today was sweet.
It was.
Trout.
It was.
Big bucket.
And it was, he used minimal amount of dribbles. It was high level basketball. But just everybody, Green, when he gets in and does his part, huge buckets, huge stops, huge rebounds, crashes the board, gets deflections. It's nice to see, everybody just kind of taking their role head on.
Isaac's second double-digit scoring output, 2 games in a row now. He had 11 today. Yeah. But, man, is it nice having a point guard who's leading the nation free throw shooting?
That and just, because experience.
But at the end of the game, you just close it out, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's what you want, right? At the end of the day, the person who answers the ball is more or less going to give you those definite 2s. And, like you said, Ash and Kalk didn't have that great of a game, but Jamiya knew from the start, this was one of his to really make the team add a little more depth to what we needed.
Yeah, that was huge. Hey, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button and also use the chat feature down below to give us some thoughts on the game. We got a bunch here we'll get to in a minute. But first, let's just talk about a couple of our sponsors. First, CareMinders Home Healthcare, big title sponsor of the post-game show here. I want to thank Jim and his staff so much for everything they do for Creighton Athletics. If you're in need of care for your injured, ill, or senior loved one, reach out to CareMinders Home Healthcare. Their agency is comprised of certified caregivers who have many years of experience. You'll receive versatile, flexible, and customized care for your comfort, peace of mind, and well-being. You don't think you're going to need their services right now? Here's what I would do. Go to caremindersnebraska.com. It'll show you a menu of everything they offer. My wife and I were just talking about that the other day about someone in our family that maybe could use their services. And then, once you get you get to that point, then you can give them a call because you'll know exactly what they have. 402-532-1383. That's 402-532-1383, Care Miners, Nebraska. Before we get to some comments, I want to ask you, because we were talking about this earlier. So we were talking about Mac's quote-unquote dominance over Hurley.
Yeah.
Even though, they're two-time defending national champions, hasn't slowed us down.
Yeah.
We've still been able to take them out. You had some thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think it's just interpersonal, like especially those two high-level individuals. That's more of that competition aspect coming into things. You kind of saw them say something to each other, in the middle of the game
Couple times
there.
today, yeah.
Yeah, and then to Mac being a little more demonstrative at times with the refs, that generally isn't. That he was almost going into Uconn making a bit of a statement, which is, nice to see.
Yeah,
right, from
absolutely.
somebody that's generally as reserved as he is. But you could tell that brought something else out of him, which it showed through the guys as well. And it was a big time win.
Yeah, big time. And getting back to that point, we were talking about, well, every game's a big game. Why can't you get up? I mean, there's 30 games. It's a long season. Yep. It's hard. The players, hey, they can read the standings too. They know when they're playing DePaul, right?
Yeah.
Now here comes Mac's, even a bigger job for Mac.
Yep.
Make sure they're focused on Tuesday night.
Absolutely.
In Chicago.
That's huge, right?
Because
Especially
I think they're going to be fired up now. They finally got that off the schneid and got that conference win.
Definitely. To be able to stay locked in. I just think that's where these guys are trending, right? They're still not probably playing at the best level that they can be. There's a lot of things that can be cleaned up. Granted, we had two guys play 40 minutes, 30, basically three. Kalkbrenner played 39. There's a few other things that can be cleaned up. I think Green can add in some goods. Miller, I think, is going to start shooting the ball here decently. I think
Miller's
today
giving
what
us
he
some
did
great minutes, man.
Defensively was some of the best things we might see all year. Right?
Big charge against Caravan.
Right. He was obsolete today, and I think that's the number one reason he won the game. I know I'm jumping ahead, but that's my hero.
Oh,
that's my
absolutely,
unsung hero.
absolutely. And that's like 3 or 4 games in a row now. Where Mason, you could have picked Mason because
he's finding a way.
Yeah, absolutely. And so anyway, Tuesday they go to Chicago and play DePaul, and then we come home obviously next Saturday for the Pink Out, which is always a huge game and an awesome atmosphere. So I think there's going to be a lot more juice now for that next home game.
Definitely, yeah. So schedule lines up kind of in a way too that I think we've understand what lulls are over the years, and Mac maybe to figure out too how to you get some of that extra energy as we just talked about, being able to go into every game too with a little added, adrenaline is always nice. But we kind of have these events too surrounded around games that where maybe you could drop a couple and then play in some of that higher caliber teams at times that. I think the schedule, I'm excited to just see the ladder of it, really.
Yeah,
I think we might surprise.
Next 3 weeks here are going to be crazy.
I think so, and yeah.
Because we got Providence and Villanova on the road back-to-back. That's not going to be easy either.
It's not. Wells Fargo, though.
One thing, though, I was telling somebody about this last week was you have to understand with Uconn, and this is no slant against Uconn, just the way the schedule rolls out. They had not played any of the top 3 yet. So their schedule had mostly been more of the mid and the bottom of the league.
Yep.
Where Creighton now has already played 3 games against the top of the league.
Yep.
So today was their first game. So and now that they lost one at home, they're almost like a game and a half because you lost a home game to one of those top teams.
That's fair.
So now you've got to somehow pick one up on the road somewhere.
They're just defending champs, so it's hard to just say anything is anything right now for them. At least, I guess they're. I understand. I understand that, but it's just, they're going to figure it out at the end of the day. I believe in that, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, this is not. More or less. You just can't have. You can't have the same team when you look at the incredible talent.
They had 28 points at half, though.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
But I mean, when you look at the incredible talent this team had the last 2 years, all the talent that left, man, it's awfully hard to reload again like that.
That's fair.
One more time.
No, understood.
And one of their best players wasn't playing today.
Understood.
Let's be fair.
Right. Right.
And I'm sure he'll be ready when they come to Omaha. Wow, I thought Caravan I thought he was going to be out there the way when he got up, but man, he toughed it out. Hats off to him.
Well, he kind of had to, too, in a sense. So, you know, I think he's just a gamer in that, but he'll be feeling it tonight for sure. But you just got to give credit to Mac, you know. A lot of that's just his execution, the game plan, attention to detail. Guys paid attention, right, and they held it up to the highest standard. Guys were hitting the glass when they should. Defensively, they're all moving as a unit. It just looked good, you know.
I think this is our best game of the year. Everything combined with the atmosphere, the team you're playing.
Today, I guess, as a whole, yeah.
I think probably it was the best overall, and still, there's still room, right?
Yep, there's gaps for sure.
Yeah.
But to hold, you know, defending champs at 28 or 28, whatever it was at half I think that's something that was by design, but it also lays something to actually stick to game plan is huge.
And considering the fact that we were pushing the ball.
Right.
It was kind of fast-paced there for a while in that first half.
Yep.
All right, if you're watching, make sure you hit that subscribe button and also use the chat feature down below to give us your thoughts. We got a bunch of them here, so let's jump into those. Martin said, that was some high-level basketball. Great win.
Yep.
Hopefully a corner turned with the rest of the season.
Absolutely.
And like you mentioned, it's been turning here over the last couple of games. Brandon said, huge win, takes a little pressure off when we have that gauntlet of Marquette, Uconn, St. John's back-to-back-to-back. Now we can kind of maybe afford to lose one of those, you know, in that gap. Yeah. Rod says, best play of the game, Ashworth's foul in the first half when Uconn was on a run. Because then there was a media timeout.
Right. A little TV timeout.
That turned out to be a really good.
Yeah, it's strategy play. But you kind of, that was the whole thing at the end of the game. Mac wants to foul generally. So I kind of already knew he was fouling. You know, you were asking, and you go through those scenarios all the time with him during practice sessions. But, you know, like we said, he's an extension of coach. He's a coach out there in the court.
Oh,
he's
absolutely.
A cerebral player. So he knew what was going on, you know, being on the road, being able to take the crowd out of it, which Mac was able to do with a few timeouts as well. Huge, right, in the setting. So, like, it all had to play into, you know, how the end result.
No question.
But I just think it was just attention to detail today on all levels that, you know, I don't want to be disappointed, though, in March. So that's why I'm trying to stay even keel with it. And, you know, because that's easily how you turn one over that you shouldn't. So,
yeah, I mean, and the other thing, too, is, like, Uconn was coming out, and then they went to a timeout, and they went to Hurley in the huddle, and he was lighting them up. With, because they weren't aggressive enough, they weren't tough enough, Then they started getting tough, but unfortunately, because they have a little bit of some inexperience out there, there were some screens that they were moving their hips, and then they were getting called for it. And I actually, frankly, thought they could have got called for a few more. So, I mean, there's tough, but then there's that where you're going to get called for it. That's one the refs typically call 90% of the time.
That's inexperience, attention to detail, you name it. But, yeah, those are turnovers.
I thought the sets today were amazing, although it obviously makes Mac's job a little easier when you got Trout going, when you got Jamiya going. Now you got four guys out there. You can do all kinds of things and really put the deep. I really thought he had them in a blender a good chunk of that second half.
Yeah, them on strings. And when you're hitting shots, that makes it, like to your point, that makes it very easily. And as you saw, they were collapsing. They didn't really want to allow Calk to get off rolls. They weren't really trying to allow him to play one-on-one in the paint. They weren't really allowing us to get to the paint either, but we were hitting some tough shots at times. And when we were making the extra pass. But just play really high-level basketball.
They had a big advantage in the paint today, just because they were hitting the 10-foot floater.
Right.
It wasn't like somebody was dominating Calk down low. But that's, again, we've said it a million times. That's Mac's strategy when you're playing a team like Uconn.
Yep.
Hey, let's not let them get going from three. Let's make them hit that tough two. Let's see if they can do it.
Yep. And when you got somebody like Calk, it's beyond tough two. It's not just a normal, you know, like analytical tough two-point shot. No, you got this guy that's closing out, you know, at 7-11, whatever you call it, you know, with a pretty aggressive closeout too, with a guard trailing behind you. So, like I said, I just think that was probably the best game as a unit that I've seen.
Yeah. And if we could have had, say, Ashworth and Calk last game and added that in today, now you're cooking.
But that's the thing, man. You know, I think that's what we've been waiting on, that third piece. You know, of course, we put a lot in Isaacs and Hope in there, but that's just been kind of been our make or break, I think, to some of the early parts of the season of trying to figure out who's going to be that third individual. Yeah, granted, Ash didn't probably score on the highest level, but he was making that hockey assist that a lot of times was allowed.
Yeah, that sweet
Jamiya.
dime he dropped to Jamiya on that back door.
Oh, yeah.
That was.
Jamiya had the one to him, too.
Yes,
that one. Is what you mean? Yeah.
Well, both of them.
Well, right. They both had one, right.
Both had one.
Right,
And that was the one Jamiya had was a little more, there was a little more room to throw that pass. The one he threw to Jamiya was, man, there wasn't much room there, and he got it in there.
I didn't think he was going to shoot it, so it was just high-level basketball. To his point, that was really high-level basketball, and we were able to respond at times when we really needed to, which was good to see, especially this early on.
All right, we're going to get more. We got more chats going, so we'll get to those in a second, but let's talk about another one of our sponsors, Discount Window and Door of Omaha. Fabulous sponsor here of the Bluejay Banter post-game show. We're live here at Let Fly Sports Bar, as we said earlier. You know, they just do a terrific job, and they have such a trusted reputation, years of experience in the industry, and they have earned the trust and loyalty of homeowners that separates them from other window companies in Omaha. And I would tell you two big things I know, having windows put in my house from Discount Window and Door of Omaha. Two things. Number one, their service is off the charts. The things they do for you, the attention to detail, they make sure everything is absolutely perfect. And number two, just price alone. Check them out with their price, because you will be blown away, because you probably saw a lot of commercials today during the game about a window company. I'm telling you, Discount Window and Door will blow you away with their pricing structure, and their products are top of the line. So check them out today. Give them a call, 402-884-8989. That's 402-884-8989. Well, we got Xavier giving Marquette a game on the road here.
Yep.
Well, we could be picking up a game on both of the leaders today. That would be sweet.
Yeah, I think there's still some surprises out there coming. You know, I think DePaul's going to they'll find something. Hopefully it's not against us, but, you know, they'll find something.
Well, I mean, again, I think you and I talked about this, that I did not know that both those guys were back. Fremantle and who's the other big bruiser they have down low? Hunter. Yeah, both those guys are back now for Xavier. So they're a different team when they can get both those guys playing.
Yeah, health is a big key, man.
But we've got guys out. So we had McNeely out today for Uconn. I think Marquette's full bore. We're full strength.
Providence had someone out. So
Hopkins, I don't think Hopkins is coming back. It just doesn't seem like he's going to get back. I think Villanova might have picked up an injury last night. I'm not sure. I know there was a big injury over here to the east side of the river for Iowa last night. Peyton Sanford got hurt pretty bad. So that, hence they got blown out by UCLA by about 30. But a lot of, that's the other thing. Injuries come into play, and
absolutely,
that's when you got to have the depth. And Mac's been building that depth, and now that we have Fedor, we have a little more depth too. All right. BJ said, was it a foul? I think we said it was. We thought it was a foul.
By definition, it's foul.
Well, no, I'm sorry, foul. But was he in the act of shooting?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely.
There's a little bit of gray, in my opinion, there was a little bit of gray area because, like you said, he did have him wrapped initially, and had the ref blew the whistle when that first contact came, and the ref was kind of anticipating it because he knew we were going to foul. Maybe that's what went down. I don't know. Bobby was not happy, though. Or, excuse me, Danny. Bobby's playing right now. Ryan Grace says, hello from Nashville. Howdy.
Yeah.
How's everything in Nashville?
We love that.
I think the whole country's supposed to be socked by this weather, isn't it? Supposed to be a snowstorm in the Northeast, cold weather in D.C. They had to move the inauguration inside.
17 this morning, I wasn't too hyped.
Oh, yeah, it's still coming, buddy.
I hear you. But we haven't had snow yet, so.
Are you getting used to the cold?
Nope. You don't get used to cold.
Yeah, see, I'm one
like
of these
layers,
people.
though.
I'm one of these people. I mean, we only need snow because we need moisture for the ground, for the agricultural industry around us, right?
Right.
But other than that, no, I don't want snow. Right. I'll take a few days of this cold weather, especially when you have a 3-day weekend. You can just stay inside, right?
That's fair.
But, man, yeah, when you get a foot of snow and you got to clean off, and then it melts, and then it ices, and yeah. Anyway, BJ's, when do you think the Fedora integration will start?
I can't say we're ever really going to see it this season the way you maybe want to, right? I just think we're at a place too, unless, health is at a place. But I just think that's a large piece to kind of just try to go ahead and throw in the fold. I think it's going to be games where, he might get hot and then he'll continue to play. But as far as, like, integrating him into the rotation, I think it's going to be tough, right? I think it's going to be time where might be some foul trouble or some guys might be, on a health side of things. But I don't know if it's just like a rotational piece yet.
So I don't know if everybody heard this, but Mac, I was out at practice the other day, and Mac, when Fedora went in the game in the last 3 minutes of the Providence game, Mac told me, he goes, hey, look, this is a big 3 minutes for you.
Right.
He goes, I want you to run, be within the offense. But he goes, I want you to start hunting shots.
Yep.
And he did.
Yep.
He did hunt some shots. And that just, he looked really comfortable out there when he was doing it.
And I think that's how they're going to use him.
Today's, game was too big. I mean, he had to play Mason today because Mason's been in that situation a million times.
Not even that. Mason just was doing high level defense.
You know what I mean? Like, he took Jackson's minutes today because Jackson's a freshman. Hadn't been in that environment.
Yep.
Jay Green had. Mason's been in even more than him. So Trout's been in it. So that's that. Now I think what you're going to see is you got these next 3 games, very winnable games, 2 at home. You're going to see Fedora get in the rotation a little more. I'm not saying full bore in the rotation.
Be those hot minutes.
But he's going to get the 3, 4, 5 minutes here and there.
It is, and it's going to be exactly how you said it as well. And I think that was just kind of where they're trying to work him in, to where you're coming in and you're literally instant offense. You know, one, because I don't know if we necessarily need him right now. I think, two, you don't want to just go ahead and go away from McAndrews, right, to where he was kind of building the confidence. That was great. He knew Trout, somebody that sticks with it, and just Mason with his pedigree. Like, of course, he was going to figure it out. So I think, too, they're just a core group of guys that they have right now. And Jay Green not even playing that many minutes right now. And I think he's been on a load total pole of that. And so between those 3, I think it's going to be a matter of him providing times of late down the year of coming in, scoring 12, 9, 14 at times, right, that are quick 2 minutes type of bursts. Until we actually need that, I don't know if we do. Ash is just playing at a high level. I think it's just more giving some guys rest. Durable. It just doesn't happen. As much as we know, and I have from experience and from past, right? You've
got this ingrained in my mind now.
It's just
how
historical.
Much better you could have played with 3 or 4 minutes. And that's what I'm trying to hope.
Just historical. It's just knowledge, right, of what Matt does.
But I do think this, and I think you'll agree with me. You're going to see some Shane Thomas here the next 3 games. Coming in a point around media timeouts, giving Ash a blow.
You hope so.
Yeah, and you're going to see probably Fedora coming in, giving Jamiya a little blow.
Yeah, because I also see Kalk probably playing at a way fast, getting to his bread and butter
and
faster.
Kalk it was just such a high-level game today and just a nip-and-tuck game. But Fred's been doing very well. So, I can see him getting some nice minutes here in the next 3 games as well. So that's 3 areas to look for as far as rotation. Big East Ghost says Mason Miller's charge was huge.
Yep.
And it was, but you kind of see, I saw that coming a mile away because Kierman had been throwing up that floater with some success, but that time, it was like, okay, I've got the size advantage on this guy from a physical standpoint. I'm going to just go, and you could just see him lowering his head, and I go, here it goes. Mason's really good at getting position on these, and boom, he did. Big play.
That's just something of teaching, though, too. I think there was a point I let the nation and charges on the ball, right? As you see, that's something now Ash kind of figuring out. But when we play the defense we play, too, you got to be the smarter individual. So as that foul was called, a lot of what you're allowed is that hand inside, right? So that's kind of a lot what we do. But generally, if you beat them to the spot, it's easy to get that charge. Yeah. And I think, Mason just kind of was, harassing him all game, more or less, and then he finally got under his skin enough.
Especially when it hurt his ankle a little bit. Now Mason's like, well, I'm quicker than you now.
Yep. So beat him to the spot, took the charge, and, it was great play. Great play. How do you play?
Lawrence says, leaving the arena. Nice. He was at the game.
Love that.
A good must 1A win on the road. Absolutely.
Yep.
We have two nice, very nice 1A wins now, Uconn and Kansas. Those aren't gonna fall off anytime soon. He says, do you think this will cement a berth in the NCAA tournament? No, because if we lose our next 5, then you can't. It's too early to say cement anything.
It's a little too early for that, but
what I do think
it's
it's going to do, if we take care of business in the games we are, and let's say in that wicked stretch we were talking about earlier, where we have Marquette, Uconn, St. John's, if we can go 2-1 during that stretch, take care of the other business. That's going to give us a nice. We're going to be above the midline on seeding.
I think we could lose a lot. We need to just beat Nova at this point at Wells Fargo.
Yeah,
I believe that's.
We got to beat Providence on the road too.
Yeah, but I feel like that's one you could maybe get away with letting go.
Oh, I don't think we can lose.
I hear you what you're saying, but they're not a bad team.
Because Providence is starting to drop.
They're starting to drop now, but like they have a lot of just 50-50s that can go either way.
Yeah,
they win the game.
Xavier, Cincinnati Xavier's not going to be easy. Going to Cincinnati for Xavier, they look really good today.
That's right.
But at any rate, no, I mean it's too early to say that. I do think though we can start climbing now with some wins, and today's win obviously, and it changes the way our resume looks, and we can start climbing up and getting into say a 7 seed, a 6 seed, because that's where you want to be. You don't want to be in that 8-9 game. That's really tough, especially when you could face an Auburn team, a Tennessee team, and Iowa. Although Iowa State, I think we'd be okay with that. we scrimmage them every year. We always hold our own against them.
That's a different time of year, though, too, right?
I don't think
everybody plays.
I don't think there'd be a fear factor. Like, let's say you had to play. I don't know. Like last year, Sweet 16. It was like, God, Tennessee's really good. They've got the athletes. They got this. They got that. Iowa State has that too, but I think there's a familiarity, not only with the players, but obviously with Mac and TJ.
I just think we're past that level as a university institution, to where like games don't really matter, right? We keep being number ones, right? We went in, just beat the back-to-back champion on their home floor. I just think it's a confidence thing now of not feeling, that this side's better than others, and coming forward in these March Madness games that. I do think Mac's going to finally turn tide. I don't know if it's this year, but, I do feel a coming.
Yeah, we're 12-6 now. So we've got a chance to, if we do things right, win 23, 24 games regular season.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Unsung hero we already mentioned was Mason Miller.
Yes.
Worst call. Said maybe that should have
probably
given 3 shots.
Yeah, that probably at 3. Otherwise, I thought it was a fairly decent called game.
It was. They really let him play. I mean, I thought there were some fouls inside that they didn't call, but they were letting him play.
It was on both sides, yeah, and just kind of all around. That's what you want too in this conference, and that's kind of what they, breed themselves on.
So a bunch of things before I let you go and get on with your day, as football's going to start here in a little while. We are going to have Bluejay Banter on Monday on Martin Luther King Day, so hopefully it'll be Austin, myself, and Ross. And we've got to talk more about this huge win, and I can't wait to hear Ross. Ross is going to be. We're gonna have to seatbelt him into his chair. He's gonna be pretty
I might
animated.
have a white jacket for him.
But that'll be exciting. So that's Monday at 6 p.m. right here on the YouTube channel as well. And then we got a bracketology question. Don't forget my brackets come out every Tuesday and Friday at Bracketville. So go to Bracketville. You can get not only my bracket, but Dave Ullman, one of the best in the business. We are going to have a special podcast on Monday as well. So you'll be able to see that, and that'll be posted on Bracketville as well, and just break down a lot of these teams. And I'm sure Creighton will come up because they'll be saying, okay, how much did this win help? How much did this win hurt Uconn? Brendan says, how competitive are we in the NIL market? I've got a room full of people here that have expertise in this subject. Here's what I've been told. I'll just say what I've been told. Tell me if I'm right or wrong. I've been told Creighton's in the upper half of the Big East. I think that would be fair. That's fair. Okay.
If you say Big East, maybe yes. Okay.
I don't think I don't think we're on Uconn level, obviously. I'm trying to think who else. There was a bunch of teams in the Big East like Providence and Villanova that got into this thing way late. St. John's is another one. So you can kind of see that's holding them back.
I wouldn't say that. They got Rick Pitino. He
can raise money.
I'm gonna just plead the fifth and just say, yeah, we're probably in the bottom portion of that. If I'm being honest, I know more.
Bottom portion of the Big East?
Yeah.
No way. No, that is really a hot take. No way.
Somebody that would surprise you probably is there that shouldn't be, is what I'm a guess. I even think Georgetown's higher than you think.
Yeah, Georgetown has a lot of money. They're probably in the top half.
I don't know, because once you get there, that's tough.
Georgetown.
Right? Marquette's for sure there.
Let's just go through the ones we know aren't in the upper tier. And I would say Villanova, Providence, Butler, DePaul.
Villanova's up there.
Yeah, but they were way behind. That's why Jay Wright left. He did not like the NIL. They were way behind.
I think his was all because he didn't like what it was doing to the players.
No. I've heard this from people in Philadelphia.
No.
That their NIL was behind.
No. There's a reason I got this pinstripe on. It's in honor of Jay Wright. But no, absolutely not. He didn't want what we were doing for the players.
All right,
like Coach K, right? Like you didn't think they have the money. Coach K has the money, right? You know Duke has the money. Know Nova has the money. Come on,
graduates are on Wall Street. Of course they have money.
You know Nova's got the money.
Yeah, but it's not just if they have the money. It's how the program is. Like, we have a really good thing with the Bird Club and everything. I mean, Huss got into this thing early.
This dude's got, like, official Letterman jackets that they have.
Oh, I know.
Right? So that's hard to
All right, so let's go again.
They still wear suits over there, too. Come on, man.
Suits?
Yes, those guys are still wearing suits at Nova. So, yeah, I'm going Marquette, Seton Hall.
No, Seton Hall doesn't have it.
St. John's.
Seton Hall has
bottom.
I was told by a source that I will die on that Seton Hall has a worse NIL than people in the Northeast Conference. Okay? Now, that might have been a little exaggeration, but that's somebody who lives
right at the middle.
That's somebody that lives in the Northeast.
No,
so we're talking Seton Hall, DePaul, Butler, Providence, all at the bottom. So now you only have 7 teams left.
I feel Providence might be decent.
I don't know. All right.
We won't know this.
Here's the deal. Tim's got some homework. Okay, I'm going to dig into this.
Thanks,
All right. We'll have an answer on Monday on Bluejay Banter. He says, well, Brandon asked that question. Then Brandon follows up with, well, they should be more competitive considering how much money I spent going there.
Where's he now?
No. Creighton.
Oh.
I'm a peanuts guy. I feel like they're just constantly bugging you for money.
I'm just plead the fifth there, Tim.
Well, I know. I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm just saying it just seems like,
There's a lot of ways that it can come about.
And we got a lot of money in this town.
Yeah.
People like in Providence and Seton Hall and Uconn don't realize. We have a lot of money in this town.
I wish there's these other spots do as well. And that's what I mean. I think some of this would be surprising once you really actually pull back the curtain.
Well, I mean, I'm not talking Uconn. I'm not talking Georgetown. You made a good point.
I think where Seton Hall is, right? And they've got some alums that
right now they have no NIL.
That's just hard to believe.
I will stake my reputation on this person that told me that.
That's fair. That is fair.
Yep.
That's hard to believe, though.
And that's why they're at the bottom of the league right now. But anyway, that's a question for tomorrow for Bluejay Banter. That's going to be one of our topics. What's that?
Of course.
There's a billionaire backing St. John's.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. And they got Patino, man. Like, he's been NIL before NIL, so.
Well, Patino's probably ticked because it's all legal now. Back in the day, it was illegal. Patino was your man.
I didn't say anything that's implications, but I think he was doing it the right way.
He was doing it the right way?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh,
we got to bring
Chad. Another hot take.
We got to bring Chad Millard on here then.
Oh, yeah. I've had many discussions with Chad on that one. Many.
I don't know. So,
right.
yeah, we should end it there.
But now we got a topic for Monday.
Oh, yeah. No,
Big topic.
I'm
besides
actually
UConn.
intrigued there.
All right. Hey, thanks, everybody, for listening. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Oh, let's get this last one. And any recruiting buzz surrounding a potential replacement for Kalk? Well, we had a potential replacement. You saw him last week playing for Providence. That was Oswin. We was down to us in Providence, and that was at a time where we thought Kalk would be leaving after last year.
All right.
It turned out that didn't happen. Oswin decided to go to Providence and go to Providence, and then Kalk decided to come back. So, who knows how that all would have played out had he
That's
stayed.
just
But
not like forget about
that was a big one.
Either, though.
I think, and then we obviously lost the Reeby kid to Uconn.
Right.
That was the big one. That's the guy we really wanted. So now,
Let's just not forget about Frederick, though. I think we
absolutely
forget
not.
just because he's not seen.
I think
But
Fred.
a couple years ago when he had to play, he played at a very high level. Granted, he's not going to be the presence that Kalk is defensively, but that's just a different adjustment, and I think we got some different individuals that are going to kind of take some of that.
Am I
presence
wrong
away.
on this? I kind of use the parallel of Klingon leaving, and then Samson Johnson coming in, Kalk leaving, Frederick coming in. Samson's not Klingon by any stretch of the imagination, but he's still a pretty decent player.
Right.
I think it's kind of the same thing. Would that be fair?
In a way, in a way,
Yeah.
a little bit different.
I think Fred
games, but
actually
yeah.
has more
But I think,
had more experience than Johnson has.
I just think
frankly.
his upside that
And
we
his
saw
improvement has been off the charts.
was it was
This
high,
last year.
and I just think with a higher confidence
Yeah.
that he perform at our
But
level.
again, we're going to need a backup.
yeah,
so.
yeah, definitely.
But I think they're going to go portal here.
Yep.
And see how that turns out.
There's some bigs,
Unless
mid-majors.
somebody just falls off a tree all of a sudden, and we can get him. Okay, thanks so much for all the chats. We love it. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Jays win. Huge win over UConn. And we will see you on Monday for Bluejay Banter at 6 o'clock right here on the Bluejay Banter YouTube channel. For Austin, for Val, I'm Tim Kruger. Thanks so much. Go Jays.